What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. I've got some breaking news for you all, and some good breaking news. Jorginho, I'm going to read out the tweet here from David Ornstein to give you the full information, and then we're going to delve into it a little bit deeper with James and Laurie, who are with me. Exclusive: Arsenal offer Jorginho a new contract and midfielder expected to sign it. Existing terms run until June with option for another year, but fresh deal rewards the 32-year-old's importance to Arsenal Football Club. That's half the tweet. I'll read the second half and get into more detail about that towards the end of the show. Let's have a conversation. It's Jorginho, looking to get another deal, looking to sign it, seems happy. I think this is good news for many Arsenal fans. Some may disagree. I know Laurie might say, we might need to look for other options.
I like how you done that. I know,
but some people may say, we might need to improve in that position. But I'm happy to hear that Jorginho, he's likely to sign it, James, and stay at Arsenal. But for you, the right move for Arsenal, before we get to Laurie's thoughts?
We can't really know what's going on with the transfer window right now. We're also focused on the title race, of course, and whether a Jorginho or a Partey stay plays a part in what we need going forward. I'm of the belief that this squad, it doesn't need a lot, but it needs to add a few elements.
Yeah.
But keep the ones that worked this year. And Jorginho was massive for us. At no point did Jorginho ever look off the pace. He did play 3 games in a week at times, but of course, we see him more as a squad option. He's experienced, but let's not even just do all that, the experience and, he's a squad option, all that. He played to a phenomenal level this year when we needed him. Really, really did. Changed a lot of Arsenal fans' minds and opinions on him. Freed up Declan Rice so that he was able to develop into more of a box-to-box. I think a lot of people felt Rice would be at Arsenal. And it's just thoroughly deserved. There's a lot of reasons why, but purely on a footballing level, he deserves it. Now, of course, we can explore what the squad needs. We've been linked with a midfielder. I don't actually think keeping Jorginho, and even if we keep Partey, actually changes the need for a midfielder. I almost think if you lose one or both, then maybe you're thinking, well, it's one in anyway. If you lose one of those two, is it 2 or 3 in? So we can explore that maybe another time. But
that's definitely a conversation to be had, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I just think Jorginho absolutely deserves his place in this squad, especially for this season's performances. I don't think in 1 year it's gonna, fall off the rails massively. I just think he's deserving of his spot. He's deserving of this new contract. There is obviously room that needs to be made in this squad, but I think there are, I want to say this politely, more sellable players that command an actual fee, because of course his contract was running out, Jorginho, so he wouldn't get anything in return for him, who haven't contributed to this season.
That was a great way to say it.
And ultimately, you're not paying a transfer fee. You wouldn't get one if he left for Jorginho, and he's contributed massively. So I think it's a no-brainer.
And he's probably not on major money as well. So I
think 110 grand a week or something. This is an experienced footballer that plays a lot of big minutes. We've got to remember this is a guy who started away at Aston Villa. No, he didn't start at Villa. He started at Newcastle. He started at the Etihad. He started against Man City. He started against Liverpool at home. And we won most of those games I've just listed there. So he's been big for us this season. And like I said, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, since the trip back from Dubai, he's been pivotal in that midfield. I know it's changed of late with Partey coming back, but you're right there. Laurie, thoughts on Jorginho? Been offered the extension on his contract and seemed like he's going to sign it. Good news for you, or?
Listen, what I would say is he deserves his contract extension. I'm going to put my cards on the table. When we first signed him, I wasn't one of those that was jumping up and down. I had my reservations.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. I think many of us are the same.
I'm open and honest about that. But we have to also be honest and say when he has played, he's played well, and he's substituted for Partey, who's had a long litany of injuries. And when he has played, not only has he played, he's played very well.
Yeah.
But I would still make Partey my preferred option. But with Partey, as we've seen, you don't know how many games he's going to be able to play. And as James alluded to as well, there's also midfielders that we got there. I'm going to name him, the likes of El Nene and 1 or 2 others that you're thinking. So if Jorginho's going to stay, it would necessitate some of those guys leaving.
El Nene's going to move on likely. Yeah, they gave him a bumper contract really for goodwill. That sounds harsh, but that seems like what the club would do.
Well, he had an injury, didn't he? And everyone knew he wasn't going to play that much this season.
Exactly.
He's doing his coaching badges, and quite frankly, there are 4 other very, very good number 6 options in front of him. One's barely been fit in Partey, like you mentioned, which is a big thing. Rice has been brilliant when he's been as a 6, and we need to sort of figure out where his long-term future is. And Jorginho's been pretty immaculate when he's played. So
can we delve into it just only a smidge, because this is a breaking news video. I don't want to keep the viewers too long. But you said Jorginho deserves deserves the contract extension, but because he's done so well this season, only game I think you kind of go to where he had a slip up, Tottenham at home, of course, but since then, being model professional, intelligent, probably the most intelligent players we have at Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion, especially on the pitch. Do you look at him and say, yeah, he deserves that, but then Partey, because a lot of fans will say, since Partey's been back, he's been superb. That's the midfield we want to see. We've loved what we've seen so far, but for me, I think it's time to move on potentially from Partey next season. But with Jorginho, I'm quite happy to have him around, which might seem mind-boggling for many people, but that's easier
said than done, though, because I do see where you're coming from in terms of his injuries.
Yeah.
You might well be looking at that situation and thinking, well, are we going to get value for money? Are we going to get game time from it? No one's doubts how good Partey is, but that is the issue with him. A bit like Jesus as well, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, of course.
You know what I mean? But to replace him, that's not going to be an easy thing, because as you've said, when he's fit and firing, he's amongst the best midfielders in the Premier League, I would say. So listen, where I stand with Jorginho is, I'm pleased for him. He deserves the contract extension. But if we are going to keep him, it necessitates action with some of the other guys who are at the club who've barely played. I mean, I mentioned Evan, and he's not the only one. What the club are doing about those players. Because I do think that there needs to be activity in the transfer market come this summer.
James, what's your thoughts on the whole Partey, Jorginho?
So that's the debate. I think a lot of people feel that one's got to move on to make room for players in the squad. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, essentially, the Partey decision comes with the market dictating of it. And what I mean by that is, if someone, it's an overcomplicated way of saying, if someone knocks on Arteta and Edu's door and says, here's 45 million for Thomas Partey, maybe even 25, 30 million, then they've got a decision to make. Are we better off having that extra 20, 30 million that we want to put towards the right player? But it's a big if that money comes in. We're talking about, well, you can't have players that, aren't reliable when it comes to, fitness and staying fit. Other clubs that are spending the kind of money we probably want from it will be thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of weirdly I'm of the belief that there is room for Rice and Jorginho and Partey and a new signing. Because a lot of Arsenal fans might not like this, and I don't really like saying it, but you want two players for every position ideally. At least you want, a squad of 21 for 22, 23 positions, whatever it is in the squad. I think you can have Partey and Jorginho as your sixes,
right.
Rice and your new signing as your eights, and Ødegaard and Vieira as your tens. And maybe some days Rice is the six, and it's Ødegaard with the new signing. Maybe sometime, whatever, you could play around with
that
it.
Works.
Maybe Vieira plays wide, whatever. Maybe Jorginho and Partey play together every now and again. I don't know, but the point I'm trying to make is, I actually think there's room in the squad because there's kind of enough versatility with both those players. Who I've left out there, though, is, well, Kai Havertz, who's a striker now, and I think has to remain there going forward. So that might solve an issue. I'm not convinced on it yet, but might solve an issue for the summer, which is the whole need for a striker. But then the Smith Rowe one, I just think Arteta can speak as glowingly as he wants about Emil Smith Rowe. And actually, I kind of believe him. I think he really rates him. But the real test moments are when you need a goal against Bayern, when you need a goal against Villa, when you have these extra games, do you give him the minutes? And it just feels as if this season and last, when he did get fit, there's been a reluctance to use Smith Rowe, and I kind of get it, because where does he really fit profile-wise into the kind of makeup of our best midfield? So it's sad, but it feels like Smith Rowe is not only the one that doesn't fit along with the list we've got there, but he might be the most sellable as well. And I don't really like talking about it in that way, but that's kind of the ruthless way that I have to think about it in the market.
Yeah, it's the truth around the matter. Let me just ask you this last question on the whole Jorginho potentially going to sign, a new deal with Arsenal. Get in the mindset of the player. Obviously, if you remember, he obviously signed for Arsenal, £12 million, 18-month deal with an option to extend. Why is it that it's seeming like he is going to sign that extension, and when other players in the past didn't seem to stay? So I'm going to give you an example. It's Granit Xhaka. I wouldn't have minded if he stayed an extra year. I think he had a really good season that last season. Ended up going to Bayer Leverkusen. Success over there. Congratulations. But I think there was a majority of the fan base, especially in the last game I was there, singing "Stay, stay, stay." He didn't decide to stay. I think for mentality-wise and senior player, been good to keep him around. David Luiz, if you cast your mind back, another player that could have stayed, may not have featured as much, but I think mentality-wise and for the young players, the young centre-backs, it's been good to have him around. Jorginho is, again, he's an older player. I think he's 31 years old.
I think he's 32.
32. Sorry, he is 32. You're correct there. 32 years old. Why do you think it seems like he's been? It seems like he's going to sign and stay. Is it? You think because mentally he'll be, I think, good enough for the young players to look up to. Also, I think he's doing his coaching badges. I think he's looking to become a coach further on. And the fact that, he might be happy with his role within this Arsenal side. Is that the reason why, or do you think there's more to it, that he's probably looking to sign that contract with Arsenal? It's a big question, but...
I think it makes sense on a number of reasons if you're Jorginho. Like you said, 32 years old, senior player, experienced, trusted by the manager.
Yes.
Doing his coaching badges. Let's face it, he's got more game time than most people thought he was going to get. Certainly than I thought he would get.
That's fair.
And when he has played, like I said, he's done well for the most part. So he's getting his game time, because let's be honest, he would be realistic to know that he's not going to start.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he's played more games than he probably anticipated. So
but do you think he thinks that as well, though? Because he has started and he's held his own. Like, I think he still might think, I can still... And remember, we're at Arsenal Football Club that are competing for the league. He may still believe, I can be a big part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, okay, I'm not in his mind. We're not in his mind. We don't know. But I would have thought that he would have realised that in terms of starting games, he was not going to start as many games as he started this season, for example.
That's fair.
The injuries to Partey and the loss of form and injury to people like Smith Rowe and El Neni and people like that have meant that when Partey's not been available, he's the go-to guy. So that would certainly help. Not only that, I've seen several interviews and seen several articles where he's expressed how happy he is at the club. Likewise, the manager and the other players speak very highly of him. So he's obviously feels at home in the Arsenal setup. He's, like I said, he's a senior, experienced player. So he brings a lot. And why would you leave? I mean, Arsenal are on the verge of doing something really big this season. They could win the title. But even if we didn't, he would have played his part in a really, title challenge. So, it would appear that all boxes are ticked.
Yeah. I just think it's so easy to overlook that Arsenal playing brilliantly. There's a really good culture that's developed there. He gets to learn under Mikel Arteta, if we're talking about the coaching badge side of things. He's playing at an incredibly high level. He probably feels more appreciated. I always would like to ask Chelsea fans this, and if they're only watching this, to let us know in the comment section below. Of course, I'm not overlooking that he played alongside Kante and won the Champions League. So he's hit heights that he's not got to with Arsenal that he hit at Chelsea. I'm not acknowledging that. But in terms of a level of consistent performance and appreciation from the fan base, I actually think Arsenal fans have really taken to Jorginho. I think he's played at an extremely high level. I don't know if I ever remember him at Chelsea. Again, maybe in that run under Tuchel to winning the Champions League would make sense. But if we're talking purely Premier League, I don't remember a time where Jorginho didn't maybe divide opinion. I think he feels appreciated. He's playing a part in a team that is doing really, really well. And he's playing great football. Like, I think it's just a bit of a no-brainer. The guy can get probably the kind of contract some people are expecting him to get this summer in 2 years' time when he's 34. Players are playing till later. They're playing till older, very comfortably. Again, when I watch him, he doesn't look like he's... his game was never built on pace and physicality anyway.
But people always
all about up here.
Yeah, people always say like he hasn't got the legs to be in the midfield, but he doesn't need, because he's so intelligent.
The ball moves for him. Like, that's the thing, and I just think this is an utter no-brainer. What's interesting is that there are some rumours online that it's not an extent. So Arsenal had the option to extend, but this isn't that. This is actually a brand new contract. So could it be 2 years? I don't know. I just think this makes complete sense. What we need to do going into next season is not be any worse. And we could have another 20 minutes on this show. But going into this current season, trying to fit in Havertz, trying to fit in Rice, Partey gets injured, Xhaka had gone. I felt like in the short term, we'd lost our midfield. Like, what was so key to what we were doing so well, we downgraded on it going into the start of the season. Now, Jorginho came through, Havertz developed as a striker, Rice has got better and better, that was brilliant from the start. And obviously now things look very different and the team has clearly evolved and gone beyond what we did last year. But I don't want us to start next season on the back foot because we're bedding in new signings, because we've actually let some crucial figures go and now we need to get the new crucial ones in. This is about adding the final bits this summer, and I think keeping tact what's worked really well this season.
Thank you. I'm going to end with giving you the second half of the tweet, which gives you a bit more information. It goes by saying, Edu and Ato make Saudi Arabia trip. No players or deals discussed. Now, that is Ato, is Jason Ato, who is now the sporting director's assistant. He's been put there. Obviously, Vinay is stepping down at the end of this summer. So they've got Jason Ato, who's we're working close with the team of Edu and the likes of the Arsenal board. No player discussed, no, they just want to go over there. I read up on it. They're going over to Saudi Arabia just to basically build connections with the Saudi Pro League and the players, just to get a feel of it. But nothing's been discussed when it comes to signing.
Yeah, sure.
We don't know yet to see what happens. We may have a Saudi Pro League player signing for Arsenal, you never know. But
or the other way.
Yeah, for now it's just discussions.
Do you guys think, just quickly, I know you ran it, Partey, yes or no, does he stay this summer?
Oh, this needs a whole, I'll be honest, this needs a whole, we need a whole show on it.
But let's, you know.
Do I want it, or do you think...
Yes or no, does Partey stay this summer? Do you predict?
Predict no.
Yes.
Oh, maybe, no.
I'm 51-49, he stays.
I'm 51-49, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's that close.
It kind of depends on what comes in. If a big offer comes in as well, I think the clubs just think...
The way Arteta's managed his fitness with his team to this point, to then playing back-to-back against Chelsea and Tottenham, tells me there's an incredible amount of value placed in what he offers to this team. Unless they feel they can really replace what's quite, a unique profile as a six, I don't know if even 30 million would be enough for Arsenal to do it. But
I'm with that. I think you've seen in recent matches a fit and firing Partey, right, is crucial to that team. The way he blends into that midfield and allows Declan Rice and Odegaard to do it.
If he plays 10 games a season, it's totally...
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
So that's what they need to... That's what they've got
to weigh up. And if he gets over the line this season, listen, we've still got to wait for City to drop points, but if he gets over the line this season, I think Arteta's used him in the right capacity and done it right, and I think that's enough to say you've done what you can and thank you for that, but it's time to now look ahead.
There's always
it's a good question.
The issue
we'll see.
If you sell him for that money, you've got to replace him.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be an easy thing.
It won't be, but there must...
So that lends me to believe that they might take the risk and think, you know what, maybe he's over some of those injuries. Next season's a new season. He's still young enough to make a difference.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, lads. That is the breaking news. I know it's a bit more of a conversation, but I think there's a very valued conversation in this breaking news video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.